Welcome back to Ask the Expert.
That's got to be a shirt. Or
a button that you push and then it says it. That'd be sick. So we have Benny Liu here, who is the founder and CEO of Next Shark, which is the leading publication for Asian American news.
Woo!
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So you guys, if you missed the previous episode, he answered a whole bunch of amazing questions, but we have more questions here that you guys have asked. So let's just jump right into it.
Let's do it.
All right. First question here is, what's a piece of advice you were told and regret not putting into practice earlier or not taken seriously enough earlier in your career?
Ooh.
Oh, sex before marriage?
That's a really good one.
That's a good one, huh?
Should have fucked way earlier.
Damn.
Oh man, now I forgot the question. You guys are just distracted me.
You didn't think about sex!
Like some advice someone has given you, and then you were like, I wish I took this shit earlier when I was told.
Yeah. You regret not taking it.
I think this is a very specific one, but this is the first one that popped into my head. Is that I think that. I learned very early on that there's a difference between like being a bootstrap entrepreneur that's, just, kind of starting out compared to like a funded, entrepreneur. And so, I came from, when I was diving into entrepreneurship more, and I was really like inspired by like the social network at the time. And like, I was like, wow, this is crazy. This guy's like, building these multi-billion-dollar tech companies without having any revenue or whatever. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. And so I had this thought where it's like, okay, I just gotta, build it. Don't focus on the money. Let's just focus on,
meeting Justin Timberlake. Give you money.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so, I just had this belief of, trying to, and that was the school of thought, right? But then, I had some friends that, went, no, you got to focus on trying to figure out how to bring money in, earlier.
Yeah, because the first version, people are, some people will say that's unethical. Because there is a group of people that there's a school of thought where it's like, you're basically a snake oil salesman. You're inflating a product, selling it off. It has no value, it has no income. Yeah. But it is a strategy. It is one of many strategies. But it's a school of thought in investing and all that where people think that's wrong to do.
Yeah. So again, two different schools of thought. If you do raise funding for your company, the upside is you have now a shit ton of money in your bank account. But obviously the downside, there's a level of downside too, is that a lot of the times you have to spend that money as quickly as possible to get that sort of growth, right? And I think that for me, I think if I could have done it differently, I wish that I thought more about how I could monetize a little bit earlier, especially since I didn't have that padding. And so I'm definitely learning now. I'm trying to find more and more opportunities to, find ways to monetize and to be a little bit more, focused on ROI, if that makes sense. And, it's something that I have to do. And in the grand scheme of things, if I'm trying to be idealistic, in order for me to help my workers and to make sure that they're taken care of, I need to also make sure that the company is bringing money at the same time too. So,
and for the people that's out there that don't know how tech companies or like these Silicon Valley companies work and with startups, it's like the strategy is either get bought out or funded by someone else who believes in you or whatever, or you're just a self-sustaining business. And what Benny's talking about is like you can quote unquote, I don't know if inflating is the right word. I don't know what other word to use. Is like you just make it look really good for maybe an investor or a buyer to come along to pay for the business expenses or fund Benny's project for $1 million or maybe $1 billion, right? And that is a strategy that is used to make this business work. But if you don't find any buyers, you can't sustain that business. Yeah. And in most tech companies, if they don't have funding, there's no income coming in. So you run out of the supply of being able to pay your team.
Interesting. Yeah, so it's mainly monetizing for you.
Yeah, monetization and stuff.
Monetizing or finding a model of monetization early on.
Yeah.
Being able to sustain in-house without injections of outside people.
Yes. Yeah. That was really just kind of the main thing. I can always find things that I can regret, but I try to live life in the most positive way. But if I could think of one thing, it's probably that one. Yeah.
That's pretty good. So how about on the flip side here, this question asks, when you began your journey as a businessman, what advice stuck with you the most and was pivotal in making you into the person you are now?
Wow, it's a loaded question. I have to think back. I don't know if it's like one specific thing. I mean,
Why are people always looking for like one aha moment that changes your life forever, and then it's gonna never?
I think that's just human nature, right?
Really?
Well, because look,
When you get to know someone, it's like, what's your favorite food or whatever. It's like always like
The way I see it is like, I don't want to bust a nut one time. I want to bust a nut every night for the rest of my life. So like, I don't know.
why do you think diet pills exist?
True. It's easier to comprehend
I
whatever
guess.
it is.
Yeah. It is a diet pill of, like
Right.
advice, right? Yeah, that makes sense. It's like, aha, thank you.
Right.
yeah, I think that for me, it was just that. I think it was just the old, the old advice of if at first you don't succeed, just try again. And I think that the one thing that I'd have to kind of give my mom credit for was, and she's a very strong-willed woman. And
You're like the only thing.
Everything else, man.
okay, fine. I gotta give her. Okay. In terms of in the context of business and stuff like that, right? Is that she worked a lot. Like and I think that I feel like my work ethic comes from her because I
What does she do for a living?
She was actually a business reporter and worked at a Chinese newspaper for a little bit. So it's interesting that I'm in this business right now. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. So she was actually in the business, but she was a type where she came here from China to San Francisco in the mid 1980s with my dad. They didn't have typical. I have $50 in my pocket, and so in the mornings, in the daytime, they would work at the Chinese restaurants as dishwashers or as cleaners, and then cooking, and then at night they would take the bus all the way across town to attend English classes. And then
I swear, I feel like they're inflating some fucking details here. Like at night, and then we had to go 2 hours to the next town over.
Exactly,
On
right?
foot.
Yeah, exactly.
I went with my mom to adult school so she could learn English.
I know, I was making a
They're
joke.
talking
I know.
I think they're talking about like I had to work. It was like maybe it was 1 mile, but really don't know. It was 10 miles.
Exactly.
Those
How big was the fish you caught? And it's like, oh, this big.
it gets bigger and bigger as time goes on. Exactly.
20 miles. I went down to Los Angeles.
Every night.
Yeah. So they would get home and that's what they told me at 12, and they started all over again. And so and they worked hard growing up, and so I never really saw my parents as I was growing up. My grandma raised me, and so they just worked hard as time went on. And so I think for me it's just that I know generally where my destination is, and I'm going to do whatever I can to get
Where
there.
is it? Beverly Hills?
Beverly Hills, yeah, exactly. I don't know yet. Actually, it's just more like I still don't know what that place yet, but I know that how I want to feel when I'm that place is that I want to be in a place where people are proud of my work. They felt that I have given back in a good way, and they've also I can feel like somewhat proud of my own work for the impact that I've made for people ahead of me. And so when it's all said and done, I don't want people to think of me as like, oh, he made a bunch of money or he made certain things. I want them to feel that, hey, I had a hand in maybe inspiring the next generation and doing
impact.
Bigger and better than I ever will. At the end of the day, like that's especially in the context of immigrants and being people of color and everything, right? I mean, we have so many people before us that paved the way for us in so many different industries, and so I think that us, even here today, whatever we're doing, I think that no matter what we're trying to do, no matter how rich we want to get or how successful we want to be, I think that there is a level of responsibility for us to keep paving the way forward and to keep and to be that good example for the future generations to follow, so that again, we want to leave the world better than when we found it, right? And I think that's the mantra that I think we should all live by.
I used to tell people, pursue your dreams, and then I was like, but I don't want you to compete with me, so fuck it, don't do it.
What's your dream? It's too similar now. But there's a
That's another thing too. I think that
Like, what do you want to be? You want to be a doctor? Okay, fuck it, yeah, I need an audience.
Oh man, yeah. For me, like especially like with with Asian Americans, I feel like a lot of us like try to compete against each other a lot. And I come from that school of thought where it's like, look, you can be in the same industry as me. It's cool. I prefer to, if I'm building a building, like Gary Vaynerchuk says, if I'm building a building, I want us to compete, building higher around us,
so
not to tear everything around us.
But
Yeah.
I feel like we've been lucky in the Asian American kind of like entertainment group, because especially maybe this is different like for actors or people competing over the same role. I feel like there's more infighting in different places, right? But for us as YouTubers or like digital guys, like it made more sense to collaborate because we can share audiences, and there was so much love. And then like I would hear other communities go through their drama, and I'm like, whoo, I'm fucking glad, man. There's nothing but like collaborations nonstop here.
That was the golden year of the YouTube years,
Right?
man. I call them the
now
golden years.
there's like
man.
hella new Asian kids that it's disjointed. Like we don't know who they are. They don't know who we are, whatever, right? But when we were all kind of in the early 2000s, man, that was, or like late 2010 or something like that, that shit was dope. Like we all knew each other.
I wish that I missed the days where I could just call up, Joe or Bart or whoever here and be like, hey, let's do a collab video, and that will be it, right?
Yeah.
Now it's kind of like I gotta call this person up. Oh wait, no, let's talk to my manager. Manager gotta talk to the Asian and all.
Everyone blew up. Yeah.
It's those were the golden years, man. I really felt that there was like a community there.
I'll tell you a secret. I am my own manager. So you're actually talking to me.
You can tell us. They all blew up, but we're still the same. So
What's your manager's name?
Ralphie.
Not even Ralph, just Ralph.
Ralphie.
He's cute.
All right.
Ralphie Schwartz.
Ralphie Schwartz.
Next
Schwartz
question,
Kwan.
Benny. So, what was your first job ever, and what experiences and knowledge did it give you?
My first job ever was, I think I was either 11 or 12, and I was, my parents were working next door, and there was like a sandwich shop, next door to them, and I would go to them to work. And so with my parents' permission and everything, I started working as a cashier and sandwich maker at this cyber cafe. Oh, cool. Yeah, it was interesting. It was cool,
11, 12, how cute.
Yeah, I made $6.50 an hour, $6.50 an hour plus tips. And it was during those times when, this was like maybe like in the...
You didn't need like a worker's permit or something?
It was something
Under
along the
the
lines
table?
of that, it was probably under the table of some sort, but there was an agreement between my parents. I mean, we were close. I mean, we were all close family friends already, so it was pretty much as good as just working for like almost like a family member, if anything, But it was interesting at the time. There was like, it was a cyber cafe, so people would just come in and just use the internet and stuff. So it was interesting times. I mean, I saw some weird customers at the time. I mean, I think I caught somebody watching porn on a computer once. It was like, yeah. It was
How did you confront them and be like, yo, man?
it was, dude. Can you imagine? I'm like freaking. I'm like at the cashier, and I'm just like, seriously, is that what's really happening right now?
You were watching it.
No, I was like,
You're 10, 11, you're watching.
It was like the screen was right here, and then like the head was right there. So I was just like, I don't, it was hiding.
Yeah.
I knew what it was, but I didn't see all the details. Let's put
I
it
bring
that
my
way.
blanket because I like to keep the computer warm, okay?
And you see the shadow of them because of the light, and then dude, did you see that kid in the fucking airplane video? He had a blanket over, and then he had the window open, so the window had a silhouette, and then he had the airplane blanket on, and then you see nothing but pow, 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 pow. Yeah.
Wow, who's going at it, huh?
I'm jet lagged.
Oh my god. So yeah, what experience and knowledge did you gain from that first job?
I think that learning how to deal
Men are
with
dirty.
learning how to deal with impatient customers, learning how to deal with
You tell them to shut up.
weird people early on. Seriously, like when you're put in that sort of situation and everything, you meet a lot of interesting people. That's for
Dude,
sure.
I relate because one of my first jobs was also at a cyber cafe.
Yeah.
But it was in Mexico. I was 15.
Yeah.
And yeah, like totally deal with.
You
so
catch any
many
weird stuff
weirdos.
happening like I did?
I did catch people watching porn, and yeah, there was even this one instance where this lady, she comes in, because it's in Mexico, I'm speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
She didn't know that I could speak English, and so she was talking shit about me in front of me in English.
Oh my
And I
God.
was like, excuse me? And she was like, I'll wait outside.
Oh damn.
Yeah, it's just like, it's just learning how people are.
Yeah. The things that people do in public then are shameless. I'm like, damn, okay.
If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, do not become a leader and do not run a business.
Yep.
I think the best words of advice I heard was like, hey, do you have any like words of wisdom for people looking to get into business? It's like, if you need words of wisdom, then don't do it. You're not in,
I love how like when we go to like colleges and stuff, people go like, what kind of advice would you give for someone who wants to start a business? And I'm like, okay, all this step-by-step shit you can learn on Google of how to open up a business, like what kind of papers you need done, whatever. That shit's the easy part. Understanding yourself, emotional control, social skills, by far the fucking best tools you can ever have as a human being. Like, just in general, even if you're not a business owner. But I think specifically if you want to run, because it's a people like art, like at the top levels of everything, even as engineers or whatever, right? Like at that point, you're managing people. You're not doing the work. Like you might, like even if you're inventing shit, you're managing like the staff that's helping you do the nitty gritty. So you got to have really good people skills. And I think that's just my take on it.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, the way you guys even, I mean, I don't know too many details how you guys run JK News or something, but I like the way you guys do it. And it's kind of, it's similar to how I, look at things at NextShark too. I think that oftentimes, like, especially with big companies now, like they kind of reduce all their workers down to a number. Like, people don't know each other and everything. Like for me, like I make a concerted effort to know everybody within my company. And I want to know them on a personal level because like they're the small pieces that make my company work. Without them, like, I'd be nothing, So I think that, and I see you guys too. I mean, you guys all hang out together. You guys take care of your own. And I think that at the end of the day, I don't want to be all cliche and be like, oh, we're one big family. Everybody always like, says
it's a different style. To me, it's like global corporation versus mom and pop. Like, we're not a mid-sized company. We're a mom and pop. Like, it's a family business, right? So like, huh?
We're popping pop.
A good old LA pop and pop.
Poppy, poppy.
Yeah.
But like it's like that's the difference. It's like a family farm, family business versus like a multinational corporation. They're gonna act different. An institution is gonna be very different compared to like, there's way more like quote unquote professionalism, right? Yeah.
Well, there's more variables, dude.
Yeah.
How do you determine how big your company is?
Well,
like employee size?
There is like what determines something as a mid-sized company is I think anything around 100 or plus employees, right? Anything under that is a small business. I think it's, but then you can look at it that way or you look at it revenue size, but you can have like 2-3 partners and make billions in revenue. I don't know, but like I think it depends.
Where does NextShark stand in terms of not revenue but like employee size?
Oh, we're small. We're a small business for sure. I mean, I think we have we have less than 10 full-time employees, but we are hiring more at the moment. Trying to hire more, because as we go. Yeah, we keep it in the family. I mean, we have a team in the U.S., but we also have like people in Europe. We also have people in Asia too. So it's like it's kind of like a 24-hour operation. So
International.
Awesome.
yeah, it's cool because like we have this like we have writers that we never even met before, but they've been with us for like 5 years, like more than 5 years. So like we're very close. It's just that we haven't had a chance to really.
They spell the funny way, like COLOUR.
COLOUR. No,
Spell correctly, you dumbass.
What is that? A British spelling of color?
Yeah, I know, right?
But I think we spell it wrong, right?
Yeah, I think we spell it.
There's always a fight between the British English and U.S. American English. It's always that fight.
That's true.
But I'm happy to keep it small. I mean, I like the fact that I know everybody in my company. I feel like as the downside to running a big company is like as it gets bigger, you kind of just naturally start losing that control because you only have so much bandwidth as one person, and you kind of have to start entrusting people. And so I think how I look at it is that I see everybody on my team as a potential leader down the line, and I want to see I want their experience when they work with me to be a really good one. They feel like they're developing themselves, like their skills as they kind of move forward, and hopefully if we do get to that area, I have a very good foundation to continue like scaling.
I mean, all big companies were once small companies.
That's true.
Like, Google started in a garage.
That's true.
So like, Facebook too. So.
Yeah.
But then I don't want to get. I mean, it's funny because I always wonder, like, do I want to get that big? Once because like at some level, it's kind of like
I think.
Yeah.
Now the way that I determine success is like, okay.
The Ferraris, the cars.
Yeah. Aside from that, like the concept of winning and what you want, right? So it's like everyone can win, but can they stomach it? It's like to get there, do you know what it takes? Do you know the sacrifice you have to make? And then I think in the early stages when you don't know the sacrifices that you have to make, everyone wants to be number one because they see like Kobe or they see like Nike or they see these big ass corporations and Jeff Bezos or whatever, right? And you go, damn, that's insane, right? And then you actually see what they did to get there and you're like, do I want that? Maybe I'm okay with just $1 million. I can live a great life. maybe I don't have to do that. You know, I don't know.
I think that it's also important to ask yourself. It's like, you know, what is it? You know, like,
What do you want?
yeah, what do you want? Because like, you know, a lot of people say they want money, they want like, you know, wealth. You know, why though? Especially if you're young. But you have to understand why. Like, you know, I believe that most people want money because like, what does it give you? It gives you choice. It gives you freedom.
Yep.
Those are the two fundamental things, and it's just that money is just that. You know.
Tell me what you think about this, okay? I think that most people that are telling you these things, it's all to make their anxiety and fears go away.
Validation.
Or yeah, validation. Yeah. So like, it's like, I want what they got because their life looks better than mine, right? That's one. Or they look important, they look loved, I want that. That's two. Or like, if you look at the root of it, it's like, I want attention because I never had attention as a kid, so I want to be a star. Or like, very rarely do people obsess and care so fucking much about their craft to the point where they want to share that with the world. That's like a vehicle to their actual pain.
Yeah.
I think that's
Root,
yeah.
Yeah.
And then because I remember I was like, yeah, I want to make fuck tons of money, and I was like, why? Oh, because it was the root of my anxiety as a child because my parents never had it. Or like we were always having bill collectors call the house. So I'm like, I always want to make. I'm not gonna be like them where they're always in debt. I'm like, I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna make a ton. Because it was like, that was my answer to it. And when I hear people go, I want to make a lot of money, I'm like, I know where that comes from. Is because you don't want to suffer. That's all it is.
Yeah. You're cursed like me, Joe. You're gonna live life with always something to prove. That's how we live.
It's like,
We always have to feel it.
I don't want things. I don't give a fuck about things. It's like, I want this feeling to go away. Yeah.
All right, Benny, next question here. What were your daily habits when you were starting your business to get where you are now, and have they changed?
You jack off every day at least?
Or at least that's right.
So stressful, gotta jack off before I can get back on.
It's like that Wolf of Wall Street scene. It's like, are you jerk off? Oh, you gotta pump those numbers up, man. Remember that time with Matthew McConaughey? That's just how stressful Wall Street is nowadays. Oh man, I think for me it's like, man, I feel like for me every day is kind of different. I mean, even right now every day is different because like I'm just looking at what problems do I have to solve today. And and I solve them, and I think that I'm still trying to get into a routine. And now that I'm gonna become a father now, right? I have to figure out a way to get into a routine. I can't just like have random, I can't just be sleeping at 5 a.m. one day and then waking up at 6 a.m. another day for something else. Like I kind of have to get a routine down as I kind of go. But I think in back then I was just desperate to try to make it. I was just trying to find every way to do it, and so I wasn't thinking about. I think this is a weakness of mine, is that I'm not a very structured person. I just kind of see like, if I see something, I just go. And, let's say the analogy.
Just like redlining every day. Like you would get to a point where like, okay, now it's time to sleep. And the next day, red line again, now it's time to rest. And then so it's just every day that's kind of like inconsistent.
Yeah, and also because I have really, really bad insomnia. So I've never really like it's just been really tough for me. I just have really bad insomnia. And so for me, it's just always like, until like I started taking melatonin at night, that kind of, that helps me sleep a little bit. I would just like, wait until I just keep working until I just feel I can't even open my eyes anymore. I just fall asleep back there. So man, yeah, those days were crazy. I still remember when I first the early years of dating my girlfriend, now my wife, is that my apartment used to be a mattress on the floor, so I was just so every day just focus on work. I didn't even care about the things that were really around me and stuff like that. And it was just go. And the analogy I always use is like, that mostly represents how I look at things. It's like if all of us agree to build a house, right? Then, we all say, okay, Bart, you can, start drawing up the blueprints, and then Gio, you work at the foundation, and then somebody handle the cement. I'm already laying down bricks. I don't even, without knowing where that is. And so I think that a weakness of mine is I lack that structure, and that's what I'm trying to fix in myself right now. It's that, it's good to, take action and go, but, you got to have that balance too of making sure that you plan properly. It's almost like, what you said. It's like, you got to make sure your car is good before, as you go. Otherwise, like, you're fixing it on the way there, which is going to make it a lot harder. So.
And do you feel like for yourself, you've actually ended up having a lot of those lessons come back to you because of the fact that you weren't so structured? Like, there were moments where you're like, damn, I should have had my own back.
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, it's hard to say like when things happen, and I think that how I look at it as, there could maybe I could have made better decisions, and I could always analyze it. But I look at it as, this is what this I guess this is what life like put me through, and there's positives and negatives of how I ended up today, and that's kind of how I look at it.
Have you ever considered teaming up with someone with that strength that comes naturally to them, or hiring someone, or?
I do, but trust is a big thing for me. Like for me, like I don't.
That's why you're very like, I need to build the skill on my own.
Kind of, yeah. I think I don't know where like the lack of trust. I mean, for me, I don't open up to people like that easily, and and for me, like I keep to myself like most of the time.
You're not lazy enough, is what it is. Because laziness is like for me.
Yeah, bro.
I'm like, yo, man, filmmaking is. Oh, it's tough. Let's find somebody.
Yep.
Bing. Like it's like, yo, man, I don't want to fucking host JK News. Bing. You know what I mean? Like, can somebody go and talk to these people and kind of socialize? Bing! You know what I mean? Like, can you bring these new guests in? And I'm like, cool, I could share my pie. I don't give a fuck. Like, how bad can they really fuck me over?
Yeah, see, we're the opposite. Like for me, it's like I didn't know how to write, so I learned to write. I didn't.
Yeah, you develop the skill. Where I'm immediately like, oh, that's too much work. Somebody help me. Somebody help me.
I think those are the habits. I think that's it.
Probably, yeah.
Like where you're interested in something, and instead of just kind of going like, oh shit, what do I do? You're like, okay, I'm gonna lean into it. I'm gonna learn how to do it on my own. And when do you know when to stop? Like in a day. Like, is it when the task is done? Or is it when you're like, I'm fucking exhausted, that's it?
Yeah, I'm learning that lesson with my wife, actually, because like...
That you get exhausted?
She fucking yells at your ass.
No, because she's like, because I feel bad because like sometimes it's kind of like, I'm working and then next thing you know, like she's knocking on the door, like, hey, I know you're working, but it's 9 p.m. and you haven't eaten anything all day.
Wow.
And you should...
Dude, that's so considerate.
What a cool partner.
I've been like, yo, I haven't had any dick in a week. What the fuck? I would have been a horrible wife to you. She's like, yo, you haven't ate, honey. Like, are you okay?
Wow.
Yeah,
You did a blowjob?
Yeah.
She's like, yo, man, this pussy's dry, homie. Like, you just been in that room. Like,
Thank God you weren't a woman, dude.
You make the scariest woman ever.
Yo, bro, this pussy's dry, dog.
we're about to get some dick around here. Like,
Who's gonna dick me down,
when we
dog?
moved in, I thought I was gonna get plenty of dick. What the fuck? You're out here working till 9:30. Work on this body, goddammit.
Oh man, so yeah, I mean, I'm trying, and so I think that it's like now I'm just kind of like, there comes a time when it's kind of like, it's almost like driving a car. You know how far it's gonna get there, but I'm just still driving, and like, I need to realize that, hey, like it takes time to, you can't go across the country in like one drive. You gotta
be like rest stops and...
Yeah, so I don't really know when to rest yet, and so, I don't know, I'll literally like be working and then, without drinking, I've gone like, 7-8 hours without like drinking any water.
You're just really good at tapping into the zone, man. Yeah, you're just good at flowing. But then it's like the Avatar, when you're too much into it, it's gonna make you sick.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
You gotta control the flow, or else you'll burn out, like, and have some hella health problems. I think that's what happens.
Yeah, it's crazy. I got to the place where it gets scary sometimes, and I think I want to caution anyone getting into business too, because like don't follow my path either, because I think that it's gotten to the point where it's funny. Like sometimes I don't even know when I'm stressed out. Like that feeling when you work for so long and like you're stressed and you're tired, but like somehow like the disconnect between mind and body, man, like
You should work with the Camelback. So at least, at least like work.
Just have it to your, and you go.
At least the cans.
The hats.
Hydrate yourself at least, my friend.
And the Chinese foot massagers. So at least you're like constantly getting de-stressed.
Yeah. Exactly. I do have like a foot massage, like a shiatsu foot massager, and then I just have it, and so sometimes I'll be attending meetings. I was like, okay, this is relaxing. This is good. This is cool.
All right. So the last question I have here, which is kind of you touched on a little bit, is what does your average workload / work day look like as the CEO of NextShark, pre and current state in COVID?
Wait. The last part is what?
It's like a second part to the question, which is pre and current state in COVID.
Okay. I think that in terms of like, I just got more busier nowadays because like we're reporting a lot on crimes against Asian Americans and the rising Asian American rhetoric, right? rising anti-Asian rhetoric. And so I think that
It's working, by the way. I was watching just like regular cable TV, and like these stories that are like, you know, a lot of my like I'd repost Next Shark or a bunch of other Asian avenues, and then a lot of like the non-Asian followers would be like, oh my god, I didn't know this shit was happening. This is fucking crazy, right?
Yeah.
And then we're like, yeah, it's been happening, and it's cool that like there's places like Next Shark that's getting it out there, that it's finally even on like regular TV. And like I was watching regular TV, and they're reporting it. And I'm like, yes, it's working.
Just mention something about it too.
first presidential speech.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So, I mean, honestly, it's just it all started because of Next Shark, Asians with attitudes, Asian. There's another. God, I'm gonna.
Jackfruit also.
Jackfruit.
Oh,
Jackfruit.
yeah.
And you know, there's been a lot of great you know, local reporters too, like Saifon.
Yes.
There was like, you know, Dion Lim. She's been really amazing too. I also got to give shout outs to like Daniel Day Kim, Daniel Wu, and Lisa Ling.
Oh, they
because-
did that.
Oh,
one
Lisa Ling is
chat,
on
Yeah,
it too.
because like they brought me onto this clubhouse, and you know, and I felt the smallest person in the room, but they basically like, you know, lifted me up. They gave Next Shark like such a big like shout out. Like, I mean, I you know, I get it. Like, there's been a lot of people like, you know, in the ground floor volunteers have been doing this work for a while, but like, you know, again, like these guys have big platforms, and you know, and celebrities, like not just Asian American celebrities, but just celebrities in general, like they tend to avoid like topics like this.
Yeah.
And the fact that, you know, they're coming out and they're speaking out using their platform to kind of amplify things forward like that, I think that, you know, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I think it's cool because it's like a unified effort between all of us, like just trying to get that word out to keep, you know, our elders and everybody safe. Just know like, oh shit, this shit's happening, so, you know, watch your back. Yeah.
It's beautiful too, in a sense, to see. I mean, it sucks. Obviously, it sucks to see like what is happening,
Yeah.
but it's cool to see like the community really working hard to try to come together on some level. And I think that this is something that, you know, had to been done at some point.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, hopefully, I think that we're moving in the right direction. I mean, of course, shit's still happening. I mean, I don't, you know, obviously, no one can guarantee that hate crimes and stuff are going to stop, but you know, let's just try to
But
keep it together.
the thing is, once the public has a view on it, then the law enforcement is they have to do something about it because they're like, oh shit, we look bad because we're not, you know.
People got to,
catching these
and the
criminals.
corporations and the
Yeah.
media, like they're getting pressure now
Yeah.
to, you know, really talk about it and to
Yeah.
acknowledge it and to find using their resource and their capital to try to help out too, because
Yeah,
it
that's what
is
it's
an
all
important
about.
issue, you know.
Yep.
So with the peak in you know, anti-Asian, I guess, sentiment that's been going on and making you more busy, like what does that week look like versus, you know, at the beginning of COVID versus before COVID?
So I think nothing has changed except for me getting busier. However, like my day is very sporadic. I mean, it's funny because I feel like I think some of my team members don't think I sleep, because like for me, it's kind of like we have like our own like global dedicated like Slack channel for everybody on the team, and like we have like different group chats. Like we share memes with each other and stuff and everything. And I'm checking at it all the time. Even when I go up in the middle of the night to use the restroom and stuff, like I'm on it talking to, you know, trying to just checking in and stuff. So it's almost like I'm conditioned to just like I'm conditioned to check in like pretty much like all the time. And so, which is something I'm trying to fix too about myself. But it's funny because like they're like, wow, I think Benny seems to be just always awake. Like I see him checking in at sometimes at 3 a.m., sometimes at, you know, 5 a.m., sometimes middle of the day during work days and stuff. I think that it's like I find time to rest, and then once I feel like I've gotten enough rest, then it's just, you know.
Do you wake up the same time every day, or every day is different?
It's different. I mean, sometimes like, you know, even this week, right? So like, for example, I try to wake up by like, you know, 8 or 9 a.m. every day, like consistently, but my schedule is just sporadic. So sometimes like, let's say on Wednesday, I had to, you know, get up early for an interview in the East Coast time. So I had to get up around like, you know, I think I got up at 5 a.m. around that time. And so I slept early then to catch up on my sleep. But then there was another time when, you know, Next Sharks, where I had to work. There was a tech issue with Next Shark, and so I had to like, you know, work like throughout the night with our web developers up until like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. And obviously there I fell asleep around that time. So yeah, it's still very, very sporadic. And I think a big part of my time right now is I think what's different in terms of like my duties is that I've taken myself away more from the day-to-day at Next Shark, and I'm just and more of it is like kind of like a lot of meetings, and a lot of it is just checking up on the team. And I'm actually finding a lot of value in, you know, just doing one-on-ones with your team members, because, you know, just to see how they're doing, just to show that you kind of care, and, you know, just to, you know, just shoot the shit with them, because, like, you know, what's happening right now, it's kind of tough to report on all these news. And
It must be pretty draining just as a viewer, like, to constantly open up my Instagram and then I see, like, you know, some violent shit, and then I see some butt cheeks to relax me, and then there's a cute little puppy, and again there's some like hate crime thing going on, and I'm like, yo man, that shit's fucking with my heart. I'm starting to get horny off of this shit, and that's not shouldn't happen.
Condition yourself.
I'm like angry.
It's too mixed up, man. You gotta change your feed.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, this girl looks good in this bikini. And then next it's like, oh my God, the horror. And then I'm like, we gotta do something about this. And I'm all fucking pissed. And I'm like, if I see these fuckers on the street, I'm gonna fucking beat their ass. And then I fucking go, oh my God, is that a deer? Oh, it's a deer in the fucking winter forest? That is so cute, right? But the thing is, I think that just as a viewer, it's kind of so shocking just being on your end with people submitting countless amounts of footage, and all you guys see is nonstop elders getting beat, people getting hurt, whatever, crimes, robberies, whatever, right? Doesn't that do something to your psyche? Because I know for our hosts, when they have to filter through the news, when there's a negative kind of season where there is a trend, right? Everyone's all into murders this year or whatever, like, or like there's a trend of like, oh, there's a lot of hate crimes, right? It takes a toll on that psyche because you think that's the whole world. But how do you guys deal with that psychologically?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I think that first of all, to acknowledge you, I think that you're the opposite of how like I'm feeling. I'm just feeling freaking numb about all this. For you, you don't even know what to feel anymore because so many things are approaching you, or just like you're just.
It's just like you're so desensitized because of how often it.
For me personally, it's desensitized because like I've been doing this for like, I mean, we covered hate crimes even before this, right? But obviously in terms of the rise in hate crimes, it's been over a year now, you know, and a lot of the times is that you got to look at it this way. So it went from maybe 1 to 2 news tips a week to up to 50 a day.
Wow.
PM news tips and stuff like that. Now, granted, like, you know, there was a lot that was like, you know, like maybe, you know, different people, 10 different people will submit a report for the same thing, right? But still, it's still concerning in a sense, right? Of like, you know, more so many people submitting like incidents reports and everything. So and oftentimes, like, you know, because we have to review these footages, like we can't just like be like, oh yeah, this happened, let's repost it. We have to actually vet it, and we have to talk to the people involved and everything. And sometimes like it involves like viewing a lot of distressing footage. And we get trolls, man. We've gotten like, you know, people just sending us videos of somebody beating up other people like to a pulp, literally. You know, and like, like, you know, like we got a video of like, you know, a housebreaking without any context of like a gentleman beating a woman, and you could hear like, you know, like you could hear like bones, like, you know, cracking, like just really bad, like just like.
And they just do it because they want to scare you, fuck with you guys.
I don't know what they want to do. We just get a lot of like.
You guys do get a lot of fucking trolls, man. Like fake racist accounts. Just you don't know. Like they're just fake ass accounts that are just fucking with your community, the commenters. You guys, like, it's pretty bad.
It is, and you know, it's tough, and so now like you're dealing with that, and then my staff members, I mean, they, you know, they're not only having to deal with the emotional toll of vetting these stories and reviewing distressing footage, they're also dealing with, you know, their own cyberbullying themselves online. Damn. They're also dealing with death threats and stuff. You know, for me, like as an organization, we believe in supporting other minority communities, and so you know, we took a position of supporting the BLM movement when that happened, and you know, and so. You know, during that time, like, yeah, we got like some death threats. We got like, you know, a lot of like, you know, we got doxed. Some of our, got doxed too. It was pretty bad, and so it got to the point where, you know, I've had to, you know, give my workers mental health breaks, and I've had to, you know. Get everyone together and do like a session for everyone, like a therapy session, because I need it too. It's not just them, you know. I freaking need it from all the stuff that I view, and you know, for me, like I'm on the ground floor with these guys. So even though like I don't do the day to day, like I do my best to experience what my workers experience every day, and that involves like just observing what's happening, seeing the types of stories that they're vetting, and just seeing generally what's going on. So it affects me too, and so you know I saw it from early on, you know, and so we did our first mental health session, full company wide. I think it was like back in March or April or something. And from there, I think what's really keeping us together is number one, us. We keep each other together because we talk to each other all the time. We're always constantly keeping up with just making sure everybody's okay. And then another thing is supporters. Like we do have a lot of supporters that send us nice information, send us nice notes too. So
the balance.
Yeah, no, there's a good balance between the two. But sometimes how the world is. People sometimes the negatives outshine the positives. It's just the way it is.
How do you do the company-wide therapy thing? You bring in like a therapist?
You either bring in like a therapist or you bring in somebody that that has done this sort of work before to just talk to the team. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like an official therapy session, but just all of us getting together, just talking about what's going on. Like, how are you feeling? Yeah, how are you feeling right now?
Does that therapist feel gangbanged after? Is they smoking a cigarette in their car? Like, they're like, fuck. Usually I talk to one person. I got fucking 10 people.
Luckily, the person that helped us, they volunteered to help us out, and we've been very lucky. Like we've had actual licensed psychiatrist therapists offer up their time, be like, hey, if you need anything, you let me know. So we have that in the back burner. But I think for the most part, how I look at it as, you know what, you do you. If you guys need a break for any reason whatsoever, just let us know. We'll figure out a way to take care of you. If you're feeling at any point that this work is too much, then just let me know. And it goes along with our followers too. I don't know if you saw that post we did. So literally I think it was 4 weeks ago. we wrote a post to our audience on Instagram, and we were like, hey, hate crimes against Asian Americans are rising, and oftentimes you're probably going to see a lot of distressing stuff on our account, and we know that the emotional toll that could bring to you guys. So if you guys need to unfollow us or even mute us for a while, we totally understand. We're not going to take it personally. And so surprisingly, people it got really well received and stuff too. And so we're trying to be cognizant of everything that's happening. So I don't want to make it seem like I think some trolls that criticize you're trying to profit off of all these. I was like, dude, no, we don't have fun doing this. And let's put it this way: how many brands do you guys know of at this point would it's not like I can sell ads against this? You know what I mean? Sponsored by whoever. You know what I mean?
A man dies on the street after getting beat. Sponsored by Jumbie.
You get what? So it's we're not doing it for the money. We don't really care so much about the clout. And in fact, we want more people to get involved. We're not activists. We can only, all we can do is do what we do best and try to present the facts and the stories as is in the most responsible way possible. We don't get it 100% right all the time, but we do our best to, work hard. And we're just human, just like everyone else, and all of us. I mean, even with you guys at JK News, you guys just want to know what's going on in the world, and try to make sense of it, because there's so much noise right now, and you don't know what's real, you don't know what's false anymore. It takes a big toll.
That's true, man. Well, I think that it's awesome putting a face to the brand, because I know that we have a lot of crossover fans who follow Nextshark's Instagram account, and a lot of the times when I follow accounts, I'm so used to seeing meme accounts, right, or just pictures, or pictures and captions, and they don't realize that there's humans behind these videos, and they have to filter and all that. So it's pretty cool that now there's someone in the flesh that can represent Nextshark, and they can see that, because it's guys, all of these things require human beings to deal with. And then sometimes I think that's why it attracts so many fucked up people to it, or angry people or whatever, because it's they don't know that there's a human being that they're hurting behind there.
Yeah, and I think that also I think it's easy to say that, and it's really easy to kind of see me, and it's I'm trying to prop myself up as voice of Asian Americans in the context of Nextshark, and that's not the case. I think that I look at it as our community is made up of so many different types of people, right? Yep. And I am East Asian, and I have a certain background that I was raised with that many other people that identify as Asian Americans that don't align with. It's not the same experience.
I never want to be a role model and representative. I talk about rim jobs for a living. You know what I mean? So if people are you got to be a good role model, it's
there's an audience for that. It's okay.